Hey everybody, it's Steve with Sky194, and I hope you're having a great day today, and I appreciate you stopping in and checking out my video. And we're here at IMOLA, and we are in the Honda NSX EVO GT3 car, and trying to give it a little bit of love. I know there's some people that wanted some setups for it and requested some setups, so just trying to get some miles. Been working on this for a little while, last week and this week, and got it finished. And it's a really strong setup, I think. Race setup, I think it's really strong. Just needs, just like all of them, just the more practice and more consistent you can get with it. But the car feels very consistent and pretty quick. So we're going to go over a few laps, and then we'll go over the setup. And of course, I'll leave the link to the setup in the description. So let's get behind here. Of course, no new liveries for the Honda, so this is just my livery, unfortunately. And again, just kind of like with all of them, I mean, I stop here before the 100, back just a teeny bit, but it's so critical. Back here about just past when you're passing this concrete little section back here, right when you're passing it to get on the brakes. And you just don't want to get in too deep, and I really have it set up for pretty good on the brakes, but still you don't want to go in too deep, because I did it a few times, and if you mess up these corners, you're way behind. I mean, you end up losing a half a second easy, because it's just connecting the dots with these first 1, 2, 3 corners. So you need to be flat footing it through here once you get through this first corner, right through there. You can't hit the bumps, just, you're going to lose time, but, I mean, it's not going to wreck you. And, of course, coming up here, you come up to the 50, and I just hit the brakes and downshift, and then the farther you can basically late apex this and stay to the left, the better. This wasn't the best example of that. Well, the next couple laps are better. I kind of slid a little bit, maybe a little bit too aggressive. But again, if you can definitely gain some time if you stay to the left, and then can get back on the gas real early and cut it really nice here to the right, and get a nice little run down to that hairpin. See, I slid a little bit there. That cost me some time. And of course, it's just past the 50, a little bit earlier probably than some of the other cars, but that's just what it is. Not much, just maybe a teeny bit, and I actually did a lot better on the brakes than what it was just aggressive. So I've actually increased the performance of the braking pretty good amount. So I definitely want to take this nice and tight and then open it up and get on the gas. Keep it in fourth and wind it all the way out. And of course, there's that brown spot right here past the 50, the same spot. And you definitely need to go right up to it, because again, you want to try to late apex and try to just barely touch these sausages or get on the backside of them. But you just wind out fourth, drop to second, and go right through here. And it really does really well through there. And all the way down through here. And of course, then I might have been braking a teeny bit early here, but basically, again, I try to do it straight. Come in there pretty good and go straight, and then get off the brake and turn, and then get on the brake again, and then downshift, and go up the hill. And it's really nice to really hit the edge of this. It seems like you don't want to hit the sausages, and if you go out a little wider, you end up being a little too wide here. So it seems like the best time I got was just barely just scraping this curb here, just breezing across it here, not getting too aggressive on it, and it would, basically you come out right where I need to come out. And of course up here, which really is probably biggest corner, I brake at the 50, and I try to hit. I'll show you where I go. Right basically on top of the curb there, and try to get an angle. So I'm turning back left and across there, and get on the gas as fast as I can, and that's what's going to get you the drive. If you got to fight it and you can't get on the gas, then you're going to lose a ton of time. If you hit those little sausages, you're out of bounds. So, you know, that's why I try to aim it going down this little straightaway here. And, of course, I got it right here to the 100. So, basically, right when you're coming to the 100, or just passing the 100, I should say. And, again, I think I'm braking a little early, but usually it's just past the 100. And, again, you don't want to get in here too hot. And I get right up on the curb and then cut this curb down to second and get a nice little run through there. See, I try to cut right through there. And again, I don't try to hit those either. I mean, you can, but it will cost you time. So I try to, you know, if I do hit them, it's barely just graze them. So let's go ahead and turn on the HUD and make a lap in the car. My best is a 142.93 right now. That was a 143.38. I think it handles the bumps pretty well. That was a 142.88. That was perfect. This is the lap before the last lap, so Speed's decent. That was my fast lap, a 142.66. And that's like 163, 164 down the straightaway, so that's really good. That's right up there with all the other cars that I know of. So I'm really happy with that. So again, I mean, ran my fast lap right near the end. The last lap I kind of messed up, kind of my fault. Just again, pushed probably overdriving. So I always try to push hard, and I need, shouldn't push so hard maybe at the last lap. But I mean, they're right near the end. It still ran my fast lap, so that's always a really good sign. So let's look at the setup. I got 26.8 left front, 25.8 left rear, 26.4 right front, and 25.5 right rear. The toe is negative 0.05, with the camber at negative 3.7 and the caster at 13. On the rear, the toe is 0.08, with the camber at negative 2.8. And all these things, I went up in camber, down, and really, I went up to 3.8, and it was okay, but I like the feeling of it just a little bit less, and I actually ran it less than this, but I didn't see any advantage, so I just basically left it here, just try to get the spread where I wanted, the temperature spread, and the same thing on the back here. So it seemed to be stable and things like that, so that's where I left it. Electronics are 2, 4, and 2. Fuel, I had 80 liters. Of course, that's what I started out at. And to do a 45-minute race, I think it was like 82 liters from what I figured. That was somewhere around there to do a 45-minute race. So it's really close. There's the tires that I ran in the 30-minute hot stint. There was just light graining on the front. That's it. And you can see I did my fast lap right near the end. So that's fine. I don't mind light graining. That's very little. Nothing on the rear, even though I'm pretty heavy on the brakes, so that's really good. Happy with that. Mechanical, got 5 on the anti-roll bar, 54 on the brake bias, so I got it turned way down over what it was on the aggressive. Steering ratio is 11. Springs in the front are 151,000 with a bump stop rate of 800 and a bump stop range of 10. On the rear, the springs are 160,000 with a bump stop rate of 600 and a bump stop range of 35. Anti-roll bar is 5 on the rear, and the preload on the diff is 40. And of course, all these things, I had different springs, stiffer springs on it, which it didn't feel too bad, to be honest. But it just takes the sausages harder, especially if you hit one a little bit more aggressive. It upsets the car more. So I tried to again, typical IMOLA. I mean, you try to run the softest spring you can without losing performance, just for the fact that you don't want, you hit a bump on the sausages, you don't want to wreck the car, or it just totally, you lose it. You're gonna lose time, but not a ton of time. But everything else, like I said, in the brakes, from the aggressive, it basically was decent, but I mean, I needed to close down some of the braking spots to where I could brake a little bit later and not lose so much time. So that's why I concentrated with basically that. And of course, if you do this, you got to make sure you have the aero to support it. Otherwise, you're just going to be locking up the rear and things like that, and the back end's going to be wigging and wagging all over the place. So you have to do both. You got to get the balance right and then be able to put more aggressive brake to it. So it seemed to work really well. Shocks on the front are 16, 10, 24, and 28, and on the rear 17, 10, 24, and 30, which seemed to work pretty well. It does take the bumps decent, I think. Aero, I got 59 in the front, 72 in the rear with a 12 rear wing and a 3 and a 2 and a brake ducts. And I don't remember exactly, but I think the rear wing was that. I think it was 12 on the aggressive anyway. But I did try it way down, down 2 or 3 spots, but you don't gain that much, maybe a mile an hour down that straightaway. I'd rather lose a mile an hour, even 2, if I gain it a whole bunch everywhere else and make it more consistent. and that's what my goal is with a race setup. And of course, I had to raise the car up both front and rear again and this is as low as I would go. I would not go any lower than this. If anything, I was almost tempted to go to 60 because to see if it would even go over better. So that's, again, if you want some stability, maybe if it rotates a little too fast for you, you might want to just go up to 60. That knocks it way down. So you're gonna, you can and then you can adjust it maybe one click here like that, one or two clicks, and that would put it back that way. So it just depends on what you would like. I mean, it's at 1.5 to the front right now, front aero variation. So I mean, again, if you don't, if it rotates too much, I wouldn't really put any more wing in it. I would just actually probably go up in this one and maybe go up, adjust the ride heights. So because the speed is decent, and I would probably, right now, it does seems to, you go over some of the sausage, it seems to hit maybe a teeny bit, but not real bad. But it does, you do lose a little bit of time. So that's why I say if I was going to change something, that's what I would change. But the car runs really good. I mean, I can't complain about it. I think it's got a very strong, like I said in the title, is very strong setup and performance and consistency. Oh, and I didn't go over the timetables. Let's go over the timetables before I forget. There's the timetables. I had a couple dumb laps, but I mean, not too many. Most of them are running, lower 43s, higher 42s. So they're all in that range. And if you put all three fast sectors together, this should be down in like the mid 42s. So, because that's a 10th there and that's a 10th there. So, that's 2/10. So that'd be like a 42.4, 42.5 at the late, low. So, I mean, that's really, really good for me. That's a good time for me, especially in the Honda. I don't drive it a ton. And like I said, you can see in the last lap was just a bummer. I just blew that one. But still, like I said, it's some really good laps here for consistency for the car. I mean, I could definitely improve, but the car is really, really good. So I hope you enjoy the setup and try it out. And any feedback or comments are greatly appreciated. And of course, if you share it or let everybody other know. I mean, like it and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It really helps my small little channel. Obviously I'm not that huge, and I try to do all this stuff for free. So any help that I can get with y'all watching my videos and sharing them and things like that, just to help support the channel, I really, really appreciate it. And and of course, I keep trying to do the best that I can. And I sure hope that you come back and visit again. Y'all take care. See ya.